Hi, my name's Jeanette Fecto, and I'm with the Breaking the Silence organization that works in the Maritimes and Guatemala. And I just have one quick story about interacting with some of our partners from the New Hope Foundation. It was several years ago. One of the leaders from the New Hope Foundation was on a speaking tour in Mi'kma'ki, which is the unceded Mi'kmaq territory, more commonly known as Nova Scotia, Antigonish, Nova Scotia. So during that tour, just due to a trick of scheduling, I ended up being the translator as our Maya Achi guest spoke with a Mi'kmaq elder. And so there I was, the three of us were alone in a room, and I, with my very faulty, hesitating Spanish, was the translator. And so there I was, sitting in the middle between two Indigenous people having a conversation, translated through two colonial languages. So I was translating between English and Spanish as these two Indigenous people who had other first languages were speaking. And at the end of our meeting, it was a very moving and interesting conversation. I did my very best to translate as best I could, but I knew I was doing a bad job. But I could tell that they were really understanding each other, and I checked in with them at the end, and they both said that yes, they really got what each other was saying. So that was a really moving experience for me, and really humbling.
My name is Dwight Howe, and a few years ago I volunteered to go with a carpentry crew of 11 to the New Hope School for the Maya Achi children in central rural Guatemala. The school grounds are about 6 kilometers outside of the town of Rabanal in the highlands of Guatemala, and the purpose of the project was to expand the basic classroom facilities. The Maya Achi are one of the main groups of the indigenous peoples of Guatemala. They're very poor and have endured horrendous abuse and genocide directed at them during most of our lifetimes. They still live and labor as an oppressed people in their own country. But the efforts of leaders like Jesus Teku and the foundation, the New Hope Foundation, as well as groups like Breaking the Silence in the Maritimes, have been a lifeline of support to these people, and especially to the children of this area in Rabanal, as their families struggle to keep their culture and their history alive, and their language alive. Although our group thought we would be working all on our own during the school's winter break, it turned out that was only for the first week. After that, for the next 3.5 weeks, school was back in action, and so were about 120 students. However, during their recesses, at lunchtimes, and often even after school, we now usually had lots of smiling, chattering, eager to get involved students around us to help us when we needed it. They would cheer us on and even wait in line if some hands-on carpentry skill was being demonstrated, or they'd gather around and help us if a job needed some extra hands to get it done. So our work days were very full. On the weekends, our hosts generously went to great lengths to show us parts of the high country pivotal to their own ethnic history and troubled past, but also to take us to some of the most magical and undeveloped areas of this beautiful and mountainous country. During our time there, the Maya Achi were very friendly, warm, and appreciative of the contributions we were making to their struggle to improve the prospects for their children. It was a colorful, exciting, and humbling honor for us to all get to experience being in their community, even if it was only for 4.5 weeks. However, all too soon, our project drew to a close and the time approached for us to leave. And as our departure date neared, although I had picked up a few gifts to bring back, I was a little disappointed that I hadn't found some memento to bring home as a personal reminder of this vibrant place and experience. A number of times on the local market day in Rabanal I had looked, but Rabanal is definitely not a tourist spot or even on the Gringo Trail. So things for sale were mostly for everyday consumption. I couldn't seem to find some one thing that spoke of the color and the beauty, the earthiness and the warmth of these people, or of their gentleness and modesty, of their joy and spirit, and of the inspiring courage and great strength of the Maya-Achi in their struggle to survive. But, as I say, time had run out and we were scrambling to finish the last few jobs before the bus came to take us back to the capital. Souvenir hunting was out of the question. Then we heard that the next day there would be a closing ceremony to thank us for our efforts. This was quite unexpected because really, for us, the whole experience of being there, working together, sharing the work, the trips out into other parts of the countryside, seeing the beauty and the strengths of these amazing people, being surrounded by boisterous, smiling, energetic kids, struggling and laughing mightily to understand each other, we had really already been blessed enough on this trip. But I think this was important to them. So next day, about 11 a.m. on a beautiful sunny morning, all the students, the teachers, Jesus, and the staff of the New Hope Foundation and our crew all gathered in the field in front of the wooden school buildings. Then the older students, dressed in traditional finery, did a series of theatrical presentations and storytelling dances. They sang and they made traditional music, and we all clapped and sang along. It was a great show, and especially in such a beautiful, quiet, and powerful place. Then they asked our group to come forward, and one by one, they thanked each of us for coming so far to help them. And to each of us they gave a gift. This is my gift. I realized my search for a meaningful reminder of the color and uniqueness of these people and this place was over. It was love at first sight. Afterwards, as we prepared and packed to leave the school, I wrapped up my fragile, outrageously painted crock and did everything I could to make sure it would survive the journey home. Then we said our goodbyes, left the school, and shortly after, left the town of Rabanel. Flying back to Canada, flying home, from sunny, warm Guatemala to the great and particular warmth that is Canada, and into the deep swirl of winter weather in early February, I felt I was trying to safely carry something home even more valuable to me than the Stanley Cup. And I still feel that way.